Welcome back to the Quiet on Set podcast. I'm Young Gruff, and as always, I'm joined by Lachlan Teely.
On episode 195, wow, 5 episodes away from 200. What a ride! How many episodes do you think we're gonna do? That's a lot.
That's getting meta already. We haven't even started talking about Deadpool, but we're getting meta.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I don't
anyway,
no,
that's enough. That's your answer. That's enough. That's your answer.
Okay,
No more.
cool.
More. Sweet that little lips. Cut them quiet. Anyway, box office numbers this week, festival lineup news, and another trailer from Ewan's most anticipated movie, Joker, the French one.
Yeah, the French one. Yeah, but maybe they French in the film as well. That justifies
Most likely.
We'll get to that, I guess. I watched some movies from Letterboxd, 250 top most liked films, like the movies that are in the most amount of 4 favorites, and I've had a good time with that. We'll get into that a bit later on. I have thoughts on the new animated Batman show, Cape Crusader, on Prime, and I also watched the Indian action film Kill that gives the R-rated nature of Deadpool and Wolverine a run for its money.
Finally, Deadpool and Wolverine sitting in a tree. The entire MCU hangs in the balance and the hands of the filmmakers and this particular film. But that's enough said. Let's get into it. Fourth wall breaks and all.
We are professional.
This is a professional podcast.
Yes. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Hello there. Which actually,
Did you
this
get
is gonna
me a
be
hat
a
as
bit,
well?
Yes.
So I've got Dooncam. It's just a camera with my Dune steelbook.
Lachlan, welcome back.
Hello.
It's time, big week.
Yep.
So many lineups,
Early
so many
week.
news, at least from the festivals, and then we are off for a week, but you wouldn't feel that. We're recording a bit earlier, so it might be a bit, there might be other trailers to come out that we're not talking about that
Are
you
we out
expect
for a
us to
week?
cover this week. Well, no, I guess we're not, but you'll be off for a week, but we're not skipping anything. Because, the way that we do this is actually it kind of ended up working out, so that's great. I don't think we're skipping one until we get to episode 200, and if all goes right, that should be our Venice episode.
Ours, yours. I'm here.
Yeah, but let's actually, I guess, have a look at those lineups, not for Venice first, but for the stuff playing at TIFF, and I made for both of those festivals a list that you can find in the description below. Appreciate if you leave a like there, if you want that saved. I'll keep them updated as well. But having a look at those lineups, there's a couple of films that I wrote out as highlights. There's a bit more commercially oriented films in here, like stuff that already has a release date, whereas Venice is one that, some of these films that premiered last year or the year before have still not come out anywhere. With TIFF, that is a bit less the case. But yeah, anything that stands out to you, on a first glance?
I've only just discovered Ron Howard's next movie, Eden, which seems pretty cool. Got a wild cast as well.
Yeah.
Jude Law,
Yeah,
Ana
yeah.
de Armas, Daniel Bruhl, Vanessa Kirby, Sydney Sweeney. Oh boy, that's a cast.
It's quite impressive. And you feel or you see that with quite a few of these TIFF premieres. There's no shortage of, if you go to Bring 'Em Down, for example, you got some hot people right now with Christopher Abbott and Barry Keoghan, who are in there as Michael and I think Jack they play in this movie, and they're basically it's a rivalry between a shepherding family who's with his ailing father, when a conflict between rival farmer Gary and his son Jack escalates. A devastating chain of events leaves both families permanently altered. Yeah, that gave me Shotgun Diaries vibes from Jeff Nichols. That might be one to look out for. And yeah, there's a couple that we've already looked at the trailers for. One film especially that you are very much looking forward to is The End by Joshua Oppenheimer. I know that was quite high on your most anticipated list.
Yeah, no, similar thing with the massive cast, but I just it sounds really interesting with the post-apocalyptic vibes, the rich family living in a salt mine converted into a luxury home. It just sounds like some really cool ideas thrown out into that, and end of the world stuff is always just a little bit fun.
That is true. Then there's also a new Mike Flanagan film that has Tom Hiddleston, Mark Hamill, Karen Gillian, Also reunites him with Jacob Tremblay that he had in his Doctor Sleep adaptation that met a quite gruesome end in that movie. A bit surprising how devastating that moment was there, but he has a movie called The Life of Chuck that's going to be playing at TIFF. And I mean, David Gordon Green has a new film. I don't know how much he has left for people to actually be interested in his stuff after he's done that Halloween trilogy and the much hated Exorcist Believer. But he's got a new film with Ben Stiller and Linda Cardinelli coming out at the fest. There's a new Mike Leigh film called Hard Truths, the director of Naked. The Wild Robot, that animated film, is premiering there, as well as like Conclave and Heretic, 2 films that we've already looked at the trailers. Piece by Piece, even documentary animated film about Pharrell Williams' life with the partnership between them and Lego. The A24 We Live in Time is going to be premiering there.
Which is also the strangest sentence ever. Partnership with Lego.
Partnership with Lego is I'm very much looking forward to whatever they do. It's an odd thing, and it's clearly also that well, I guess I don't know how truthful that is, but in Letterboxd it's tagged as a documentary, so it is just like visualizing maybe that in a more interesting way. But yeah, it makes it interesting because like we're about to talk about the Bob Dylan Dylan biopic that just got its first trailer. And yeah, there's also the piano lesson that's from the playwright who wrote Fence and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. That's another one of those adaptations that's coming. Yeah, A24's We Live in Time. Any of those other ones that like you are eagerly anticipating, Lachlan?
I just realized I don't know what TIFF stands for.
Toronto International Film Festival is what it stands for.
Fuck. I knew it was in Canada. Yeah. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking idiot. Can we swear in this episode a lot more?
And
because it's the Deadpool episode?
Yeah, it's an R-rated episode.
Fuck yeah, sweet. Perfect. Fuck, I'm an idiot for not realizing what TIFF stood for. I knew what the FF stood for. Fucking film festival was an easy one, but I was what the fuck does T and I and international obviously, but then it was just like Toronto. Yeah, fucking of course. God,
TI-84. Yeah. I didn't mean to agree with you, idiot, and saying yeah there, but just
no, it's okay. You can call me a fucking idiot. It's fine.
Did I talk about Night Bitch? There's also Night Bitch from Marielle Heller.
That's the one with Amy Adams? Yeah, that one I'm keen for. That one looks funny.
Yeah, and so, like, going into this, right, Marielle Heller, maybe you've seen Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, the one with Tom Hanks about the much beloved, what's his name? Mr. Rogers.
I don't know. Yeah, that guy.
There's also Can You Ever Forgive Me, like that she's done. So looking at someone's filmography when the two of us who won't be going to TIFF, there might be an option of what you can do instead. So for both Venice and for TIFF, I do have a watch list for myself for like a remote watch along that you can join in on. I went with stuff that I haven't seen yet, so there might be more obvious, better picks to pick alongside the actual selection. But I will be catching up on, I guess at the moment I got 22 movies for TIFF on there. And then, yeah, we'll get to the Venice one later on. But compared to, I guess, Venice, TIFF is also a bit of a collection of, I think there's 1 or 2 films that played already at Sundance or Berlinale, but most of a lot of the gun stuff is actually like having its, I guess, North American premiere at TIFF. So we are getting O Canada, The Shrouds, All We Imagine Is Light, Enora, Bird, Caught by the Tides, Emilia Perez, I, the Executioner, Misericordia, Rumors, and Girl with the Needle, all playing. I think most of them are playing in the section of not galas, but on special presentations. The way that TIFF works is only 3 categories: gala, special presentations, and platform. Platform being like the Ensortega, the Horizonti, the like prospects type in
English,
of
please.
Section. Horizonti means horizon. That's the one for Venice. And
wow, fantastic.
Ensortega means like a special look, essentially, or like. But that's the stuff from TIFF. Again, if you want to have a look at all of the films, what does it mean?
I'll stop. I'm being annoying.
Folie à deux, you know, the French one.
Oh,
the French.
Joker.
You're a mean one, Mr. Although when I meant to mention this at the start. I did a live stream where I went over every single film in this last night
of all
time. And it was like every movie ever made. It was only a short little
That was a quick live
1700
stream.
hour stream. Only 1700 hours.
Jesus Christ, man. Well done.
Yeah.
What
but
did
no,
you do
it was
the
over
other
3 hours.
1700 hours? Did you cut your arm off?
Well, it grew back. That's why it's like tiny now. It's a tiny little, it's down here.
Tiny little hand.
Like Deadpool. But no, you can check that out. That was streamed on this channel, so you might have even swung by and said hi. You can find it at Timecoded, all of the stuff you want to hear me talk a bit more about it there. But Venice. At time of speaking, Kevin and I are still waiting for our accreditation to be
Your passport
confirmed. Yeah, it's an issue. They were like, guys, I know you talked about the films from last year's section, over 60 films for 3 hours and 10 minutes, but I don't know if that's enough for us to let you back in.
It's a bit much.
Bit much, isn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah.
You sent it.
It's too much. They were like, please calm down, take a year off, it's fine. But no, we really hope we can get back in, because there's some promising films premiering at Venice. What is notable here that, like, when you were with me in Cannes, that was the year when we got a couple of 4-hour movies, 3.5 hour long movies, really long stuff. No series though. It was crazy. And then Venice was considerably shorter. I think the longest film was Green Border with like 2 hours and 30 minutes. I think it was 151 was the longest one.
That is extremely short. That is teeny tiny. That's a short film.
And that was the longest one out of the like 50 plus that we've seen. And there was a 3-hour one that I missed, Lubo, but like almost 3 hours. But regardless, Cannes this year was shorter again. So that means that I guess Venice has to take over from being the long festival. So there's 4 series that they're going to show. 3 of them are like Alfonso Cuarón. Disclaimer is one of them. Families Like Ours from Thomas Winterberg. And then Son of a Century, Il Figlo del Secolo from Joe Wright. And all of those are like between 350 and 450 minutes. And they're like part of the selection. It's crazy. I think there's also a ton of films that in competition that are over 2 hours long. Not over 10 hours. Over 2 hours long. There's The Brutalist. I think that one's like 3 hours and 30 minutes. Queer is like 2.5. So it's going to be an intense festival with some long films. But yeah, Lachlan, having a look at it once again. Anything that stands out to you?
Well, I just saw that Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Cloud, he's the director who did Cure, really fucking loved that movie when I watched it, last year. So it'd be keen to see something like that. I see Beetlejuice. There's a shout out to a sequel that I didn't think we'd need, but there it is. Wolves, John Watts, there it is. That's premiering. Baby Invasion. I would be a child not to talk about this one. What the fuck is this thing, Ewan?
Yeah, it's the follow-up to Aggro Drift from Harmony Korine. He's back at the festival with another midnight screening.
I think I might cry.
Did you read the logline for this one?
I did. Follows home invaders shot from a first-person shooter perspective.
Yep. Yeah, it's to be fair though, this movie is 80 minutes long, so it's going to be a change of pace, and I'm probably going to look forward to it. There's also Queer from Luca Guadagnino. That might be my most anticipated from the fest.
Oh, I didn't even. Oh wait, no, yeah, I did see that. Hang on, add that to my watch list. Daniel Craig. Oh, didn't see that one.
Yeah, apparently it's quite explicit. There's multiple like nude and sex scenes, and early impressions from stuff that has maybe slightly leaked is that especially Daniel Craig and Joaquin Phoenix are going to be the talk of town for their performances in their respective films, which Joker Folie Deux, after the first one, also won the Golden Lion in 2019. It is back with the follow-up, the sequel, similar also to Pablo Larraín, who had his Free Women sort of tied trilogy that he's closing now with Maria, all premiere in Venice as well, with Jackie, Spencer, and now Maria, led by Angelina Jolie. There's a lot to uncover, a lot to see. Anything big that I missed?
Yes. There is something
Pedro
that
Almodovar?
you missed.
What did I miss?
It is Youth (brackets) Homecoming by Wang Bing. 152 minutes.
So I have more to say about this. So I found out that this is an actual trilogy that he works on. The one that we saw was the first one. Then the second one
Are you sure
is
it wasn't
about
the
to
whole
be
fucking
screened in
trilogy?
Locarno. It is a trilogy. And the second one is going to premiere in Locarno, and it's even like another 30 minutes longer, I think, than the one in Cannes was.
Are you
And then
fucking
this
kidding
one,
me?
yeah,
Sorry,
and then this one is the conclusion to it, but apparently it takes place before the other two. The thing is, I could technically watch all three of these because I'm going to Locarno. I might likely, dude, this is torture. I will not. I refuse. I won't.
So in this latest installment of Youth, Wang Bing starts out in Zili's deserted textile workshops on New Year's Eve before traveling to Shaywee marriage in the Yunnan Mountains. I literally don't know, but I think I have to finish it. I
don't think you do, but you can gladly take it over from me.
I have to finish it. I watched 212 minutes of Youth Spring. I have to watch.
And this one is only a brisk 2.5 hours, you know? It's only a brisk
The other one is called Youth Hard Times. Brother, that's what it is to fucking watch this. Hard Times. Second part in Wang Bing's documentary trilogy.
Apparently he's like regarded as one of, if not the best Chinese documentary filmmaker, and maybe
you know what?
if you're asleep,
No. I don't think we should talk shit about that man, because I think that even though I haven't seen any of his other stuff, I think that there's probably a good chance that he is a good documentary filmmaker, and we have to watch something of his that isn't extremely long and is like
there's one that's almost 10 hours long. He has another documentary that's 10 hours long.
There's a what? What? No, there's
his
not.
most popular one, Tai Chi Kuo, the quest west of the tracks.
551
his most popular one.
51 minutes.
Yep.
Hi-ya,
and that played at TIFF in 2003 in 3 parts. They showed it in 3 parts at TIFF.
That is quite a lot. That's a very high rating. It's got holy fuck. It's got 46% 5 stars.
Yep.
Detailed look at the gradual decline of the Shanghai industry.
I feel like it might be.
This guy's just an area.
It's just Stockholm syndrome. While when you sit long enough in like a movie, you end up liking it by the end.
How do I get?
That's what it is.
It's on none of my streaming services. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can find something to watch this on.
I'm glad you're dedicated, because that's also what I did. I made a list of the stuff from Venice and clearly left this 10-hour long thing off of it. But I'm watching Cure for the first time, Jackie, the original Beetlejuice, Volver, Woman on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, Voxlux. There's a ton of stuff to prepare myself for Venice. There's 43 films on that list at the moment. So yeah, if you want to join along, I'll hopefully be doing videos of that as well in the lead up to the festival. But yeah, let us know what you're looking forward to the most. We'll hopefully be able to have some coverage. I mean, the plan this year as well is not just like to dump a 3-hour-long thing at the end, but maybe, you know, we have these nifty little things. Lachlan got a set of them, nice little clip-on DJI microphones that maybe we can live stream from the festival island in between our screenings, and yeah, stuff like that. And Lachlan's double fisting. That's great. Yes,
this is terrible.
That's it for the festival lineup, the upcoming stuff. And then quickly box office report after we had our in-depth Twisters review last week. I talked about like that steep, that really high budget that it had, over 200 million, and that it needed to clear quite a bit of money to actually make that back. And it's impressive. It had the biggest opening weekend for a disaster film ever.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's like bigger than the Ronald Emmerich type of world-ending stuff, right? That's all of that. And then it had the second biggest opening for a live-action film this year. It like debuted only 2 million behind what Oppenheimer did in the opening as well, with $80.5 million just domestically alone. So I would say it's likely going to make its money back. Does it gross over half $1 billion like the first one did? I don't know, because now Deadpool is sweeping in and taking up all screens, all the like premium screens as well. I don't know, how well is Deadpool going to do? That's also going to be interesting. and what the reception is going to be for the MCU going forward. I know with you, Lachlan, if the movie didn't land, you're out from the MCU. So if you want to hear what Lachlan has to say about it, then I guess you got to be a bit more patient, because we'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, that's the main box office thing over here. Longlegs is still holding quite impressively well for a horror film, but other than that, I don't think there's any notable thing from the box office. And there's a couple of quick news items, just a few that we got in here. First up, the Zac Efron will star in Famous for A24 with Jodie Hill set to direct. And Efron will star as two different characters, a Hollywood superstar and a crazy fan.
And The Penguin, the TV show spin-off from The Batman, takes place 1 week after the first film and will lead directly into The Batman 2.
Glad that Robert Pattinson is an actual vampire, so he doesn't age. So even though a couple of years have passed in between those films, he doesn't show it. And then we do have the first actual trailer, I guess. The other one was just a teaser that they released already for Joker, the French one. Yeah, it gives us a bit more of the story over just hey, oh my god, this is the most artistic, visually impressive film ever. Now we get a bit more of the story. So Lachlan, what did you think?
We didn't get too much. I think it still was mostly vibes in this trailer. And I think that it's probably good because narratively I didn't massively enjoy the first one, but I loved it for the performance of Mr. Phoenix himself.
Yes.
So I will be eager to see Mr. Phoenix and Miss Gaga on the stage and see how they go.
And we also got Brendan Gleeson in there as one of the prison guards. So I just watched In Bruges for the first time, actually fully. I've only seen, I think, kind of parts of it. For some reason, I never finished that film. At least I don't have any recollection of it. And his vibe in that film is, it's interesting. Yeah. What was that like?
Sorry, I was doing my De Niro face.
I did De Niro. Yeah, no, he's dead. He's definitely dead. But I mean, they show some talk show stuff that they have later on, so there's probably going to be some disillusionment of I don't know, that type of stuff. But I don't even want to speculate on that too much and think about it too much, because I would really just be taken by the narrative and all that.
Yeah, we'll see. What movie do we think this is going to copy? Because obviously King of Comedy and Taxi Driver was Joker 1. What do we think Joker 2? What movies is that going to copy?
A Star is Born, the one. He there's just a lot of alcoholism in this one. But instead of alcohol, he does too much laughing gas. This one seems a bit better than the first one. Maybe it has something new to add, something different, different story to tell. And the
What's
glimpses
your favorite Todd Phillips
the
movie?
Musical parts. Of course, Hangover 17.
Fantastic.
What other movies has he done?
He did War Dogs.
I still haven't seen that film.
Road Trip. He did some of the best comedies from the early 2000s.
Due Date. I guess I'd just say probably the first Hangover was probably the best one he's done. I don't think. Okay. Yeah, no, Road Trip is pretty horrible in my opinion.
What's your least favorite Todd Phillips movie?
I think it's Road Trip.
Fuck, god damn it! It's what?
Road Trip.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I don't like Road Trip at all. There's better Road Trip movies, but they all kind of blend together. And he's got an untitled Hulk Hogan biopic coming up, and after.
Oh my god, I'm in.
There's some stuff I feel like
sign me up.
That it could likely be canceled due to his political affiliations. I don't know if they'll vibe with Todd Phillips. Biopic wise, I don't know. It doesn't have to be present day Hulk Hogan.
Who are we talking about? Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. There was a Trump rally thing with him not too recently, like a couple days ago.
Fuck yeah! Give me a movie for that.
From J.D. Vance, the soon-to-be vice president that also is the writer between Hillbilly Elegy. It's crazy.
Cool.
It's the world we live in is fucking weird. But we're not gonna get into U.S. politics stuff. But it's certainly it's been an eventful 2 weeks. It's crazy, and we are moving past it. We're just flashing past. But times are changing. So there's a trailer for the Bob Dylan biopic film, A Complete Unknown, directed by James Mangold and starring Timothy Chalamet.
Timotei Chalamet.
It seems like he's singing in it.
He plays Twinkpool.
Attentively listening to the singing, and I couldn't tell if it's like a mix between the two voices, or if it's him putting on a voice, or if it's just Bob Dylan, and I'm trying to hear the Timmy out of it. I thought it sounded fine, especially from the back of his head. Once I saw his face, I was like, okay, this is a bit of a harder sell. But yeah, what did you think? First impressions?
Yeah, I mean, James. You like James. You like your favorite
Yes.
James Mangold movie
Logan.
was Indiana Jones, right?
And the dial of fuck me.
Yep. Look, James had a flop. His flop was Indiana Jones. And look, I feel bad for the guy because he made a pretty fucking cool Wolverine movie. He also made a really cool racing car movie.
Yeah.
And he made one of the coolest singer-songwriter biopics, Walk the Line.
Still haven't seen that
And
one.
I think that it's important that we realize that people are gonna have flops in their life, right? He did the Wolverine and he did Logan. That's fucking crazy. That's a great turnaround, right? He made a shit movie, then he made a good movie, right? He made Ferrari.
I don't know if the Wolverine isn't shit. I think it's the Wolverine. I think is fine. It's not like
compared to Logan.
I mean, compared to Logan, most things are pretty bad.
Yeah,
I think all of the other films compared to Logan are pretty bad. So
then he made I can't remember what he made after that, but then he made Ford versus Ferrari, which was sick. Then he made Indiana Jones, and that thing sucked ass. And then he's gonna make this one, and this is gonna be a hit. A hit.
Yeah.
You say? Mark my words on this 10:41 p.m. on Thursday. Wednesday. God, I'm tired. Wednesday, the 24th of July. This is gonna be.
Can you tell us with coordinates where you're located as well?
Longitude, latitude.
Just yes.
This is going to be not his best movie. Mic drop.
I mean, it's a safe one. It's another safe one.
Oh, I meant Timothy as well.
Yes.
No
Do you
Oscar
think it's
nominations
one that
for
will
this
get him? Like, is it one that will get him into the Oscar conversation?
Nah.
Or
Nah.
You don't think so?
Nah.
I think it might. If it nails it. I feel like it might be possible.
I think that he's gonna fuck it.
It could very much be, but yeah, it's hard to tell at this stage. It's really.
I want a Billy Joel one. Billy Joel's music's way better.
Are you trying to cater to me? What the fuck are you doing, Lachlan?
I just want a Billy Joel fucking
me too
biopic.
Literally my favorite musician.
Who plays Billy Joel?
No one. I don't know who could play Billy Joel.
Do you want to segue into the next thing while I find actors that could play Billy Joel?
Yeah, I mean, I can remind you that you can go subscribe to all of our channels, the gaming one. You can find live streams on here. We do reviews and all that stuff. So if you do enjoy it, then make sure to subscribe, leave a like, share it around with other people who are like-minded film and TV lovers. And if you are listening on audio platforms on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, I think on Spotify you can now leave like comments on the episodes as well. So feel free to do that. A bit of engagement goes a long way. Yeah, we love the feedback and it's much appreciated. But Lachlan, before we get to what we've been watching, you have an idea of who could play who could play him?
Yeah, I do. I've actually got a really good one. This is fantastic. You're gonna fucking love this. So this is Billy Joel. If you're watching the VOD, you can see this image of Billy Joel. And
very far away, he kind of looks like Jerry Seinfeld, but now he doesn't.
If you want someone to play Billy Joel, there's no one better to play him than Chris Pratt.
Let's get to what we've been watching. He's Mario, he's Garfield, and now he is Billy Joel.
Wait, is Billy Joel Italian? Maybe he's got a bit of Italian heritage.
He had that song from scenes from an Italian restaurant. Maybe we can have a tie over between the restaurant lasagna with Garfield, Mario being Italian, and then he can play Billy Joel. So he plays the piano, and those two characters are like hopping in the background, and he can voice them all. Wouldn't that be great? Lachlan, the stuff that I watched, because you watched Logan, though. You did watch something.
Yeah, I did. I watched Logan.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Fuck. Yes. What should I tell you about it? What do you want to know? Have you seen it before?
Yes, yeah. I've seen. Fortunately and unfortunately, I feel like perfectly for Deadpool and Wolverine, all of the X-Men stuff. Well, not all of it. At least the one from 2000 onwards. But I feel like Lachlan's going to pull out like a 4K Blu-ray of. Yep, there it is. Of
Yeah, look
Logan.
at that 4K Logan. How great
Yep.
is that? 4K. Yeah, I watched it on that, and it was great. I haven't seen it in a while. I forget that there's a ton of people in it.
Yeah.
But I know that we all praise Hugh Jackman's performance for Logan. I think that's very important. But I think there's a... I just rolled over the fucking cord for this microphone. I think I just ruined the entire recording. I'm so sorry, Ewan.
What did it stop?
Please forgive me. No, it's still recording, but I have no idea what the condition of the microphone is like. By the way, my microphone stopped working before we started recording.
And twerking.
But now I think it's working again. Nice. So, fantastic. But I think, back onto Logan, that Patrick Stewart, Sir Patrick Stewart, is probably a massive like, he does a fantastic job playing old man Charles. And I think that's a really fun thing to think about, because I know that the movie's all about Logan, but hey, it's a really good movie, and I think that everyone really screams loudly at how good they are at the performances, even from a small child. I don't know that you don't like child actors, Ewan.
She was good in it. Daphne Keane was great.
You fucking hated it, don't you?
I hated her. Yeah, no.
You hate children. And my favorite part is I did not realize how quickly Deadpool and Wolverine would open up into Logan's timeline, which made my rewatch even better. So we'll get to that momentarily. So uno momento, por favor. Ewan, I'm sure you watched a billion. You do. Look at me go. I'm learning Italian.
It's getting ready to join Italian. Me in. Well, we can say
to play Billy Joel, who I thought was Italian.
You don't need to speak French or Italian. Just something in between. You know, a mix of both, and you tap both countries.
I can speak many languages. You give me time. But you watched. No, you didn't. Did you?
What? The Mummy? Yeah, I watched The Mummy for the first time.
Oh!
I have never seen it before.
Tell me everything.
And it's definitely a movie of its time. I feel like you have to see it maybe at the time when you grow up. I didn't love it. I thought it was fine. It didn't blow me away. Rachel Weisz's antics got a bit on my nerves as like I stumble all around the place, but I'm actually kind of smart, and I'm a woman in this man-driven field. It's interesting. Like, I think that the performance from Brendan Fraser is really outstanding in this one. Like, the way that he screams is just so unique. And, I had that visceral reaction in Killers of the Flower Moon when he screams in the courtroom, where I thought, like, that was so out of place. Now I've come to learn that that's just Brendan Fraser. And you just have to appreciate his screaming. Yeah, I mean, some of the CGI maybe doesn't hold up. I think story-wise, it's still intriguing. And yeah, is there any reason to continue, or is it like this is for sure the best one, right?
Or you should watch all of them.
Scorpion King, or which?
Fuck you, watch all of them.
The Mummy Returns.
Watch all of them, Ewan.
Okay, I guess I will. I tried to make my way
up to Tomb of the Dragon. Emperor, and then cry.
Tomb of the I see that one has horrible ratings, and there was one in 2017 with Tom Cruise that also wasn't
no one's fucking
liked
terrible.
at all.
Don't even bother with that one, dude.
So what you're saying is just watch the second one.
You should watch Mummy Returns. I like Mummy Returns. I think it's fun.
I do like when Mummy comes back as well.
But low-key, I'm a bit of a sucker for Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. Don't know why. I just thought it was ridiculous and over the top. And yeah.
Have you? Oh my god,
it's not as good. It's not as good as the
paper
first
for it is crazy as well. Is it like a film that you watched a lot in your childhood?
I have a fond memory of hiding under a blanket because I was terrified of whatever his name is, Tutankhamun. whatever his
It's a
fucking name,
terrifying
right?
movie.
It's a terrifying movie.
They get so more tame with even Deadpool and Wolverine being R-rated, or I guess M50 as 15. Did you say it is in Australia?
In Australia, it's not R. It's MA 15 plus.
Yeah, I feel like here it is 16 as well. But yeah, how like what R-rated is, it feels like it's for a lot of like commercial cinema, like an adventure film like The Mummy.
Yeah.
They would never do that nowadays, even with something
No
as
one
big
makes
that
a
is
movie like The
R-rated.
Mummy these days.
Yep. And there's also like really crazy sets. I remember watching a couple of videos about that before I even saw the film. The production design behind it looks impressive. It just has a few too many like visual effects, in my opinion, that maybe would need to be maybe updated, and then the movie holds up a bit better than it does like now watching it for the first time. But it has a charm to itself. I can't deny that. I also watched The Sound of Music, Robert Weiss, a musical that is terribly cheesy. And I know it's like beloved by so many people. It's from 65, so it's an old one, 60 years old almost. And I just I thought it was pretty good for a family film. I feel like it's. I mean, I can get for all of these, right? All of these next ones have like a ton of fans on Letterboxd, and I can really see where that comes from. Even if I'm not entirely in love with maybe the genre or the tropes and the cliches, something about it still has something that makes it stand out. The Sound of Music, I think, is decent. And then I really have no reason why I've never seen Black Swan. I feel like it's one of the most popular films of all time, and I just never had an interest to watch it, and I did now. And I don't know, I feel like I'm slowly getting why people don't like Darren Aronofsky, because his movies are so uncomfortable. I had someone shit talk him last year in Venice when I was watching The Killer, another director who was in the Directors Guild. I didn't get his name, so I'm not like leaking anything here. But he was talking shit about Aronofsky, that he's like a pretentious guy. And I can't get that like sentiment out of my head now. But the way that he does sound design is disgusting.
It does not surprise me if the directors think he is a pretentious guy. It does not shock me one bit that the guy who made Black Swan, made Mother, made The Fountain, The Whale is a pretentious filmmaker. I am not surprised.
Yeah, apparently he's not the most pleasant person to be around by at least one guy who told me about him, who's met him. But he also, no. But yeah,
he probably does so
many
psychedelics and just is not a good guy to be around.
But like, look, he's made Requiem for a Dream. I know The Whale was hated. I thought it was like it worked quite well for me. But I get why he's hated. And with this one, I also got why he's hated. But this one seems to be liked by most. At least in my mutuals, I have no one who has it under 3 stars in just the main activity feed in there. But I ticked that one off the list. So then I watched 2 romance films that were surprisingly great. Like, these movies shouldn't be as good as they are, but 13 Going 30, Jennifer Garner, Mark Ruffalo, Judy Greer. I don't know what it was, but to me, that movie was so incredibly charming. Like, have you seen it?
No, I thought you were doing a
bit.
Never mind.
I don't know what you're talking about, but 13 Going 30. Like one of those films where like initially when you just look at the title, I was like, what the fuck are we doing here? Are we like putting a 13-year-old in the body of a 30-year-old, and then we have all kind of weird Hollywood pedo shit happening in some sort of weird contrived way? And I quickly realized that that is fortunately not the case. And the movie actually makes a really good case for itself to, just be entertaining, be charming. It's fun. And then Notting Hill, Julia Roberts, Hugh Grant. Yeah, it's a classic, and never got around to it. Has a lot of good stuff in it. Books and charms and film industry stuff. I like it. And then in Bruges, I think this one was for a long time. You were contributing to putting it in this list because you had it in your top favorites for a bit, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I thought it was like quite entertaining, dealing with the guilt and stuff like that, and ultimately being just a bit miserable, as Martin McDonagh kind of likes to have his movies. It's not like there's a nice little kiss on the forehead and a bow tie. But you're actually just like you're just going like fuck at the end of his films, and yeah, another one that nails it. Yeah. Any reason for you to watch In Bruges again, or is it one that like you haven't seen in a while?
I haven't watched it in a while, but I'd happily watch it. I've got it somewhere in those drawers.
What? So sorry. I was
You know the
thinking, like,
drawers.
yeah, no, the drawers. I thought about you like another camera setup of you just looking at the drawers and the drawers.
Oh my
looking
god!
back
Can
at
you imagine if I just do another camera? Oh god! I've got it. I could.
like the meta
could
just like
technically
keeps
do it.
escalating.
I
No,
could
no, no, no,
set
it's
up a
fine.
camera down by the drawers. It'll crash OBS, but I could do it.
Yeah, I know. That's meta. Can you jump from show to show like She-Hulk?
Hey, I can see. You can see you though.
No. I also watched the latest episode of House of the Dragon. That one got review bombed because there was a kiss between two people who were like, oh. And I guess Saudi Arabian people didn't like that one. I think the episode itself was really slow, but very solid. I can see where people are getting impatient with the series, similar to what people felt with The Bear. But shut the fuck up, because I feel like the second season is on par with the first one. Although I would like to see a bit more escalation towards the finale. But we only have 2 more episodes after this, and then yeah, it's only 8. So hopefully it can. And then I got to see Batman Cape Crusader early, and by the time this episode comes out, the embargo is up. It comes out on August 1st, and I think starts airing weekly. I thought the show was a bit underwhelming, has a similar problem to what Invincible has, where the animation is just kind of lacking. Where in Invincible, they kept making the episodes longer and longer and longer, but simplified the animation even more. I feel like a lot of this is setting up the universe of Batman in a way of introducing us to a new, like, highly, like, a big, not a big storyline, but a big character weekly. And it feels so much like setup that doesn't even set anything up other than, like, introducing the villains in the show. It was a bit all over the place. I think the story was a bit too basic. It's seemingly wants to go into the direction of making Batman a bit more a detective and stuff like that, but he also comes off a bit more like an idiot. But maybe that's the point of him being early on. I just didn't super connect with it. But I'm sure that we'll probably get a second season, a continuation to it. I feel like this first season wasn't enough to set up this show. And then an Indian film, Kill, that's set mainly, almost entirely on a train, where there's a bunch of bad guys who come in, I think 42 of them, and are trying to raid a train full of passengers. And there's one main guy with a few others in the army that are just fighting against them. It's a really bloody, a brutal film that I can very much recommend. It's out on VOD now. And if I had to choose between Kill and Deadpool and Wolverine, for the action, I definitely go with Kill. For maybe the whole entertainment, Deadpool and Wolverine probably has the edge. But that's what I watched. So, Lachlan, we can get to that aforementioned third iteration in the Deadpool saga.
A listless Wade Wilson toils away in civilian life with his days as the morally flexible mercenary Deadpool behind him. But when his homeworld faces an existential threat, Wade must reluctantly suit up again with an even more reluctant Wolverine.
Yeah, that was a mouthful, and I feel like all we gotta know is Deadpool breaks fourth wall, and there's also now yellow suit of Wolverine in this. Other than that,
Yes.
Do we need to know more? No, we are sold on that premise. That's how the movie is sold to us. So maybe they could go with that in the premise as well. They've switched directors for these films each time. First, it was, I think, Tim Poole is his name. Then David Leitch, and now Sean Levy. I would say it's definitely a downstep when you look at the rest of Sean Levy's filmography. He's a very bland filmmaker, which is some of the shortcomings of Deadpool and Wolverine as well. Like his recent work, Free Guy, The Adam Project. I feel like Night at the Museum films are very much beloved, but I don't think they like stand out for their visual flair as much as as some other like blockbuster films do. The movie clocks in at 2 hours and 8 minutes. We are recording this on not even a day when it's out yet. We kind of got the preview early talk here. So the reception, we can't really tell so far, other than the critics, who expectedly are pretty mixed on it. It's a 54 on Letterboxd, and so far it's currently sitting at a 3.7 on Letterboxd, but it's hard to predict if that will go up or down. I would say probably going to go down a bit to like a 3.4 ultimately, but we'll have to wait and see. The budget was $100 million, another $100 million on the advertisement, I think, but I wouldn't be surprised if it actually turns out to be more, because it is a cameo fest. You know, that's what Deadpool gets to do, especially now that it's connected to Disney. Now, if you don't want to hear those spoilers yet, and you have yet to see the film, we're going to talk about the film a bit more in spoiler-free, and we'll warn you once we get into those aforementioned plot details and cameos. But Lachlan, as someone who has said again and again when we get to go through the promotional material for whatever upcoming Marvel TV show or movie, that if this movie doesn't land, you are taking the next exit out of the MCU, and unless I make you, not gonna watch more of the franchise. So I really want to know, because I don't know yet. You haven't told me. What's the vibe? Where are we at? Are you leaving? Are you still in?
It's really interesting because I still think even if I did enjoy this to its extent, I still would be sitting on the fence to eventually just say goodbye to the MCU. And I think that, if I'm honest, this is a pretty decent step into the positive boat, because I think that it does a really great thing, and that's not take itself seriously compared to the rest of the MCU's lineup that have all been, hey, we've got to set up the next big bad. And this doesn't do that. It's a standalone little thing, and that's what some of the smaller MCU films did back in the day. And that is what this film does. It doesn't get caught up on this whole multiverse thing. In fact, it ends up insulting it in a way which I actually think is really, really engaging. And I think that it's a reset, because Deadpool is a character that just doesn't take himself seriously, doesn't take anything seriously, and Disney is a company that takes itself extremely seriously, and everything it does has to be Disneyfied. And this is one of the least Disney things I have seen in a while, and I think they realized they have to do that, because they will be cutting out a major audience.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you have lost the people who have grown up or were really invested in the first three phases of this shared universe, and now you get to have even more of a backlog, right? The MCU started in 2008. Now you have the history of like the last 30 years, I'd say, with all of the Fox stuff that came before, X-Men being the first like big step into a like sequelized type of successful here and there franchise of superheroes, and you get to tap into that with all of the jokes. But I feel like it doesn't really escape the multiverse problem on a bigger level. What it ends up doing with you're saying it's not that serious. I think it has those notes of a more serious undertone in Deadpool's like personal story that he goes on in this film, which I thought to be a bit all over the place. I think a lot of the story elements that want to be carried through the film are very messy. I think the humor lands. Like, it made me laugh quite a bit. I think that's always been the case with Deadpool. But the story is weak. Doesn't really make sense. It's fine if it's entertaining enough. It doesn't need to make sense. But the visual language and the pacing of the film are really sometimes would hinder some jokes as well. I feel like some jokes really fell short just because they were timed wrong, they were presented wrong, they were shot wrong. And I was like, damn, okay, there's a better movie in here that got a bit lost in the shuffle of pretty mid direction, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I agree. I found the film quite bland visually. I don't think there was much. Like, there are moments that are quite cinematic and quite pretty, but I felt that for a large part, the area that it's set in is kind of boring, and there wasn't really much going on to it. which, if I'm honest, it was a bit more refreshing than a CGI-filled mess of just backgrounds and quantum mania. But for me, I just felt that visually the film was flat, and that kind of sucked
Mm.
because I think the other Deadpools have a bit more depth to their visual storytelling, and at least to their visual gags, where this didn't really have that many visual gags. They were all quips and quotes, and I guess the only visual gag you could really think of would be the dog pool that they've got,
Mm.
the fucking little ugly dog that they have in the trailers and all the
Yeah.
promo stuff. That's one of the only visual ones that I can really distinctively going, yeah, that's well done. But I agree. I think that narratively the film's plot is quite loose, and it's a Hail Mary of just bouncing around to different points in the narrative without
Mm.
really any sort of effort. Especially with a particular way that they exit a facility, how they
Mhm.
they
Oh, yeah.
launch out of a facility, and I'm just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what? What
That
the
makes
fuck?
no sense.
And
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
no one was stopping them, and it was just like, okay, no worries, they have to leave. But I think that the film.
Oh, wait,
doesn't
I feel like we're
need-
talking about two different things here. I thought about something towards the third act of the film. You're talking about like the end of the first
I'm
act,
talking
I
about-
think.
Yeah, you know when they
Yeah.
just like
And
launch
it's just-
out of.
I feel like the second one that happens with Baldy makes even less sense. I felt like that was such a huge dumb jump.
Oh yeah. No, yeah.
But
Well, look,
yeah.
and that's the thing. Narratively, this film is not going to be their finest, and that's okay. I think
yeah, it's
they
fine.
they
Yeah.
have to really establish the fun back into the MCU. And I said this a couple of weeks ago. I was like,
Well,
their
the fun
films just aren't
with
fun anymore.
personality. Yeah.
Well, Deadpool does have the personality. I think that
Exactly. The rest of the MCU doesn't really. They have the quips, they have
Yeah.
the humor, but it's not funny because it's not attached to personality. And you definitely have that with Deadpool, I think.
And I think that you also have that with Hugh Jackman. His Wolverine is a lot of
Yeah.
fun because this is a broken Wolverine, and this is someone that just doesn't want to deal with Deadpool shit. And it's always been a really fun relationship with Wolverine and Deadpool. And I think that Jackman and Reynolds do a fantastic job bringing that to life. And you can tell when actors are having fun, right? Jackman was happy to put aside Logan, the character, but now he's pulling out Wolverine, and that's what I realized watching this movie. He put away a different character, and this is a different character he's coming back out as. Like, yes, it's Wolverine Logan, but he died the Fox way, right? The Fox Wolverine is dead. This is the Disney Wolverine, and I'm okay with that. I was a little bit pissed off that they were going to taint the narrative of Logan, but that's not the same character. Yes, it's Wolverine, but it's not the same character. So I'm kind of glad with that. And you can tell that they really wanted to honor the stuff that happened in the past, especially during the credits as a great example. They respected what was happening beforehand. It's not just cameos for cameos' sake and references for references' sake. It's, hey, these films in the past are extremely important, right? Even though I don't remember any direct cameos in this movie, but during the credits there was shots from that film, and it was like, well, it's interesting that they, even though it was a bit of a piss take of all of the Fox stuff, right? It kind of felt like a nice honest moment to be like, hey, this is a fun ride that they had with Fox. It's the end of a narrative. Let's bring in this new Disney-based storyline with Deadpool. But yeah, it sucked that from a critiquing standpoint, and I can see why critics don't like it. Yes, the film's narrative is held together by a fucking string. There's not really much visually going to it. The visual effects aren't clean, just like any recent MCU movie. Like take it a hot minute, and then you can start to realize that some of these people are full CGI characters, just from
there's
odd movements.
One moment that is horrible with full CGI after the towards the end there as well with Wolverine.
Is it a?
It was like
with Wolverine?
It's so digital. It's so digital. It's like
Yeah.
you can really see that he's not there. He's not standing there. Maybe we can transition into spoilers. If you want to talk a bit more. I guess for people who are like really fond, like have grown up with the X-Men stuff, maybe have watched a bit more leading up to this film. I wouldn't be surprised if some people get quite emotional towards the end there, because I agree with you. It's definitely like an appreciation, a send off, and in spoilers here now. So final spoiler warning. Also a bit of a love letter to the outcasts, the canceled stuff, because ultimately I think that stuff kind of carries through. It's a very loose and thin through line that it has. But Deadpool being this outcast who needs to believe in himself anymore, again, that might be written off and pruned to the underworld of the forgotten. You get to have those fun cameos, right, of the things that never came to be, or that were not well received, or that we've since moved past, with like Blade, Elektra, and Gambit in there. And I thought those were quite fun, and not just random cameos for the sake of cameos, even though like it teases him being almost coming to the thought of being able to tap into like the shared Disney world so that he can poke fun at everything. I feel like it kind of stays back on actually doing the Multiverse of Madness random type reference stuff. Like when there's a cameo, there's not just like look at this character and Deadpool can shit on him. It needs to have a bit of a story reason for it to exist.
There's a reason
and I
behind
appreciate that. There's a bit of a, it's not just like that they're throwing whatever shit at the wall. I feel like that type of stuff, for what it could have been, actually worked out to be quite good in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we starting off with the first major cameo, which was Chris Evans, and
I'd say Henry Cavill is the first big one.
Oh yeah, sorry, I completely forgot that one. That one's a crazy one. That one was fantastic. That caught me off guard. Really did.
Yep.
And I think that everyone in the cinema was also caught off guard.
I thought Hugh Jackman is a huge jacked man.
Yeah.
But he doesn't look that big from behind. And like he's big, but he's also almost 60. So I was like, that's crazy. Like that they definitely did some CGI stuff on this to make him look that big in that shot. Or I was just impressed, mesmerized. But no, it is just.
And then it's Henry Cavill.
Yeah, and Henry Cavill is like, we'll treat you better than the shit guys from down the road or something like that. Like,
yeah.
Not bad.
The fanboys about to cream their pants or whatever. Like the whole.
Yeah.
And again, like those little quips that were done by Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds throughout the thing were exciting because they honestly were really well done. There was one that was later on that was done by Deadpool talking about how Hugh Jackman had let himself go, or Wolverine had let himself go after the divorce thing. And that got the entire audience here to go, oh,
Australia, of course. Yeah.
And there
that even got the press audience going with me.
Yeah, and there were some really good ones in there. But for me, that first one with Henry Cavill was great. The next one would be Chris Evans, which when I first saw it, I was like, oh fuck, cool, they're gonna have a Captain America reference. And then as it went on, I was like, oh, don't you fucking do it to me, right? Don't you do it to me, you dirty dog. And then to have him be Johnny Storm was such a fun little ride. As someone who really enjoyed the early Fantastic Four movies, I have a lot of fun with them because I grew up on them. So I really enjoyed that.
His whole bit is funny, and also how he like dies. And I don't know if you stayed for the post-credit scene. Did you stay for the? Okay, so you did see the thing at the end with him.
Doing all the bad mouthing.
It's like for a post-credit scene. I think that is a fun way to end it, even though it does
kind
of sound wrong out of his mouth.
Because it's like he's Captain America and he doesn't do naughty words, and I was like, that's like a double one for me, right? It's a joke, but it's also like everyone knows him as Captain America from like more of the most recent ones. So yeah, that was great. I guess like cameo wise, you then have Eliath, who was in what was it, like they said like season 1, episode 5 of Loki, and I was like, that is such a fucking random reference. That's so funny that they're just really going in particular with those kind of jokes. And I guess we would then get to the real big cameo fest of places like people in Cassandra Nova's complex with Juggernaut and Toad and whatnot, all appearing from the X-Men, which was really, really exciting and really, really fun. But I think that it's got nothing, absolutely nothing on the people who kidnapped Deadpool and Wolverine.
That's to me, it's also crazy because I have not seen either Elektra or the Blade films, but obviously, like, I know who they are. And it's a bit of the Gambit thing was just Channing Tatum is all like similar to Ryan Reynolds. I feel like when he does his comedy thing, it's very close to the my name is Jeff all like all the time.
Yeah.
With the way that he kind of delivers those lines, and it works in this role. I think more often than not. And it was very fun. Like, it was, to me, I don't know if I ever like was really wanted to have Gambit in his own film or like appear more. Yeah, that was so hyped and so talked about for such a long time. And it never came to fruition. And it feels fun to have it in here.
It's really funny because less than I don't know, like 2 months ago, I went on a deep dive because I had a weird recollection of a Gambit movie happening, and I was like, "Oh God, there's a Gambit movie," and I went down a quick rabbit hole of what happened to it and whatnot. So that like the Elektra and Blade one blew me because I was like, "Holy fucking shit!" Like that Elektra is like a smaller, like real fanboy referential one. Blade is a huge one to have fucking Wesley Snipes play that. And also for Wesley Snipes, for them to then go, I'm the only Blade, motherfucker, or whatever he said. And
I thought that was not good. The delivery on that was not good, unfortunately.
It's not fucking Wesley Snipes. So let's be real. It's fucking Wesley Snipes, right? But to have them then say that, knowing that the Blade movie is in absolute shambles right now, and Deadpool's doing this big like, hey, that's probably going to be true, made me feel like this movie also had insight into like Marvel that we just didn't have. And I was like, well, I guess the Blade movie's not.
I read that more as like he gives a reaction as, oh no, there is going to be another one, which makes the joke less funny. That's how I read it. So
yeah,
it makes it less funny if you interpret it that way, that like, oh, we don't know about, and like his jabs at Disney, I feel like are there, but they're not as like heavy as they could be. Essentially, he also has another quip about like the last couple of stuff not being good.
We're entering during a down period or something like that. He says to Wolverine early on.
Yeah.
And everyone in the
there was another Wolverine thing that was so funny. The first one when he's in the bar and he hops off and it's Tiny Wolverine.
Oh, Tiny Wolverine, like
the quips that he has.
Wolverine. Yeah,
dude, that his like quips. So he's like that. Like Ryan Reynolds is just always in all of his interviews as well. He's so fast with it.
He's on it. But yeah, no, Gambit was the one that really took me by surprise because I was like, that is such a wild one to have, because I knew that most people didn't know who he was around me, but I could definitely hear some people like gasp, and I was like, yeah, that's crazy that we finally get like him on screen and having him having Channing Tatum play it was just. Yeah, and then play it for jokes as well was quite entertaining. But that little sequence there. Oh, and obviously Laura coming back, X-23.
X-23 definitely keen. Yeah, I heard that like that was I stayed clear of some of the trailers, but apparently like a lot of that stuff or some of it was already leaked.
Yeah, she was in the last trailer, I'm pretty sure. And I had that leaked and I was like, that sucks, but oh well. And that kind of ends it for the trailer, like not trailers, but cameos for the film. There's not really much more that goes on there.
No, that like for those concerned about the Logan legacy.
Right.
It's the way that he starts it off. For those concerned about like the Logan legacy, well, yes, we are going to fuck it up.
Right at it. Yeah. I was like directly attacked as the film opened, and I was like, okay, I'll take it. But yeah, that was A really good opening, I must admit, in terms of entertainment wise, because it really set the tone of what they were going to go for. And yeah, I just unfortunately feel that the film, even though it's a Marvel movie, you can have really good cinematic visual storytelling elements that are great in a Marvel movie. That is like
Hmm.
that is something that can be done. But I think that they did one thing, and that was, hey, let's make sure we get the vibe right. Let's make sure we get the jokes right. Let's make sure we don't overdo these cameos, and let's do a conversation piece on the MCU right now. And I think that's what this film did, and I think it did a great job.
I mean, it's also just like, let's crank up the blood meter to maximum overdrive and just have
Yeah, but
everything
that's
like splash
Deadpool.
blood around.
It's always like that.
Yeah. But to me, like this time around, all of the slow motion action also had something that was just lacking to me in parts where none of the stabbing and stuff. Like, I don't know, one too many things where the score, like the soundtrack, was the bigger focus than the actual action, which is fine if the song's a banger and it's just entertaining. But I don't know. I thought some moments were kind of lost in the shuffle for that,
Mm.
and I thought that the opening scene was quite impressive in how long the just violent action goes on for. But then later on, I think the movie loses a bit of its steam in the second half. I mean, there's also the jokes at the expense of the runtime, right? And when you just like literally just
Yeah.
wait for time to pass. And these movies can go long, right? Commenting on Disney movies going for almost 3 hours at times. There's like, it's so quick. You could make an entire length of a podcast episode just going over all the quips that they do in this film, and it'd probably be like double the runtime of the actual movie. I think the Wolverine story of like his tragic past that he has behind him being the least successful Wolverine was one that like it's another thing of setting something up and you ultimately build to a reveal, right? And they could do it in a way where maybe they make a joke out of it, but they don't. It stays pretty serious, but then to me it lacked a bit more context of what he actually did, and the ultimate ending is just a bit, it's stupid, but it's fine. It's Deadpool and Wolverine, but like that's the same excuse you could make for like, hey, it's a kids movie, don't criticize it. It can't just be bad. I don't think it's the same thing here, because the entertainment value is there, but there's a lot to be critiqued. It's just the way that you go into it. Like, I sat down in the theater and was like, I'm here to enjoy a Deadpool movie, and that's how I'm going to criticize it. Not from the standpoint of like, okay, I expect the new connection point for the MCU and what this means for yada yada. So
Yep.
I took the movie for what it was, and I had a pretty good time with it.
Yeah, same.
And yeah, I can see some people really hating on it, but I did not. I thought it was probably on par with maybe the second one. Maybe the worst in the trilogy, but they're all kind of close together for me. Again, I haven't seen these first two in a bit, and since everything was so Deadpool for war breakerized in the since I guess that first Deadpool movie came out, maybe rewatching it gives, I don't know, you just watch it a bit differently. Anything that I think we haven't really talked about, Mr. Paradox at TVA and like the villains in this,
Boring.
and I feel like that goes to that goes to say that those are probably the lamest moments about it. I think his motivation as well of needing to prove it to himself to get like Vanessa back in a way of like not being a loser and doing something with his life, to me like was quite hollow in its base, because it essentially says like, hey, if you're not this person, then I don't like you. And I feel like that wouldn't be the basis of any sort of relationship ever. So to me, it doesn't really make sense that that's a condition that they would succeed. If it were to focus more on his depressed state and that's why they can't be together, then maybe that would be the case. But maybe that's tied to him like being this someone who makes a difference in the world, and that's why he has more confidence. Like that whole storyline, because they focus on it so much, didn't come together to me. Anything in the story just really didn't come together. What do you think of the powers of Cassandra and Nova, just like being able to like fist your brain?
I mean, sister of Charles, so I can believe it. But yeah, it was a CGI mess, but yeah, it'll do. It'll do.
Did you have like a favorite gag, like the Canadian friendly Deadpool with long hair who doesn't regenerate himself.
No, not really. Jackman lost himself after the divorce was a fucking really got me. Because it came out of nowhere. And yeah, that's yeah. I think a lot of it landed. Like really, a lot of the jokes landed. But because I've been awake for going on to 18 hours, I am forgetting.
He's tired.
Even though I only
He's a
saw
tired
it less
little
than
boy.
3 hours ago. So yeah.
I don't think there's much else to talk about. There's like him and Jon Favreau in that scene where he applies for the Avengers. I feel like that's more of a setup thing than it is an actual. It's like it's showing, hey, this is actually in this universe now. Just as a reminder for most casual audience goers, but I don't know. It felt a bit odd. And Matthew McFadden as Mr. Paradox, I think was fine, but to me it really didn't work. There was a bit about them the second British villain in this with Emma Corrin popping up there. Yeah, I think that's all the stuff that we have to say about Deadpool for now. So Lachlan, what's your rating?
I had fun. I don't really care about all the other shit. I think that it really nailed what I was hoping, and I would like to give it a 3.5.
To me, it's also on a 3.5 at the moment, although I kind of have it at a 3.25 if that's kind of allowed, but it's kind of not, so I'm going to say, I'm rounding it up. It's like in between a 3 and a 3.5 for me, though. But for anyone who likes Deadpool, go see it. It's going to be a great time. If you already didn't like the quippiness, Ryan Reynolds type of humor in Deadpool, you're not going to find something new in this third one. So I feel like you got to know yourself and see if you're in for it. That's that. Then double feature wise, what do we pair up with a quippy bloody movie?
I was gonna pick Fight Club.
Yeah, okay. There's fight.
Fourth wall breaks and violence.
I can get behind that. I went with Evil Dead Rise because there's this one like elevator scene where there's a shit ton of blood in it. There it was like, I think it was real, right? It wasn't. Yeah, I think it wasn't CGI. They used like so much of real blood, and there's so much fake blood in Wolverine and Deadpool. Yes, I'm switching it around. Couldn't think of a third movie in a franchise that I also would tie to Deadpool and Wolverine, so it's this one. So you don't need to see any of the other Evil Dead movies, by the way, to watch Evil Dead Rise. That's it for our review. Now, new stuff that you can watch this week, new releases. We got the new M. Night Shyamalan film, Trap, out in theaters. What is notable about this is that I chatted with some colleagues in the States and internationally. There's no press screenings happening for this one. Nowhere. Not in Switzerland, not in the States, not in some other places. Usually that means they kind of want to not, show you the movie for some reasons. But with M. Night Shyamalan and his obsession with not spoiler discussing movies, I had a chat with Let Me Explain from Intercut there, and he said like all the videos that he's ever done on M. Night, they like specifically flag and take down for the reason of like they don't want you to discuss the film. So it does make sense that maybe for press they don't want you to see it and talk about it early before people can experience it. But we'll be talking about it next week. Regardless, you can stop us. And then Harold and the Purple Crayon is a I think novel or children's book adaptation. And it's a family film out in the States. And then in limited release, The Instigators is also coming out on Apple TV Plus on August 2nd. That's the new Doug Liman film with Casey Affleck and Matt Damon. And then there's also Kneecap that premiered at Sundance earlier this year with like an Irish band in it. And then My Old Ass also comes out. That was another film that played at Sundance with Aubrey Plaza. And out on VOD Digital, there's Ghostlight, Treasure, a movie with Stephen Fry and Lena Dunham. The Beast comes out on Criterion Channel with Léa Seydoux and George McKay. There's also Tarot, a pretty terrible movie that's going to be streaming on Netflix, but I'm sure it's going to go gangbusters there. Then Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is landing on Hulu. Maxine is out already on Premium VOD, and then Lachlan, your much anticipated Rebel Moon Director's Cut is getting released this week. Woo! Also on Netflix, we are getting Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheeks movie. And then on Prime, we get the aforementioned Batman, Cape Crusader that I can't really recommend that much unless you're really a diehard Batman fan. And then also over on Apple, we get Women in Blue, a Spanish, I think, series about cops. And then in Swiss theaters, you can go see Tatami, a film that Kevin and I really liked coming out of Venice, and then unfortunately hasn't really appeared in many places theatrically. At least there's no like release for it in the States anywhere that I can see. But that movie I can very much recommend, and it's out in Swiss theaters. And in Australia, we talked about it already because it came out on VOD internationally, is In a Violent Nature, and then there's also Ezra that's playing in theaters this week. Again, next week we're going to talk about M. Night Shyamalan's Trap. So let us know maybe what you thought of the Deadpool movie, and if you're looking forward to Trap and your favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie, all of that stuff. But we'll catch you next week.
Bye.